From popular Disney attractions where it's rumored very real ghosts roam amongst the living, to midnight jaunts through haunted prison complexes whose resident apparitions can get quite handsy. Are you sure you're ready for our second list of picks for 5 real haunts open on Halloween? Number 5. New York Catacombs by Candlelight. Hosted within the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral, or more commonly and simply referred to as just St. Patrick's Old Cathedral, off of Mulberry Street within the Nolita neighborhood of Lower Manhattan out of New York City, New York, New York Catacombs by Candlelight is a 90-minute tour that allows groups to view both the catacombs and other areas of church grounds that are generally closed to public access. Historically, these cathedral grounds were initially constructed from 1809 to 1815 and would act as the seat of the archdiocese until 1879, when our current St. Patrick's Cathedral in Midtown was established. In 1966, the old St. Patrick's Church building was designated a New York City landmark. In 1977, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places, and on March 17th of 2010, being St. Patrick's Day, Pope Benedict XVI would declare the site a minor basilica. Into the present, St. Patrick's Old Cathedral remains in operation, holding Mass 7 days a week, while hosting a range of activities, events, and tours. Incidentally, New York Catacombs by Candlelight offers visitors a chance to glimpse a number of off-limits areas, including the site's 2 exterior walled cemeteries, the narthex below the sanctuary, and the only active Catholic catacomb in the whole of New York City. Rather eerily, those who have participated in said tours have reported a range of supernatural happenings, including extreme cold spots, orbs and strange forms captured in photography, disembodied voices and footsteps that emanate from empty spaces, the constant feelings of being watched, of being followed, or even of being touched by someone or something unseen, and encounters with a range of full-bodied apparitions in clothing spanning the eras. Within one cemetery, the entity of Pierre Toussaint, a formerly enslaved individual turned hairdresser, has been encountered roaming about, while the spirit of Bishop Du Bois, who was laid to rest beneath the cathedral's entrance, has been spied prowling near. Number 4. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Located at Lake Buena Vista in Florida and hosted right at the Walt Disney World Resort, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is a separate admission, seasonally themed event held through the months of August, September, and October within the Magic Kingdom. Historically designed to supplement Disneyland in Anaheim, California, which had opened its gates in 1955, the Walt Disney-designed Walt Disney World Complex's Magic Kingdom was officially established in 1971, with Epcot following in 1982, Disney's Hollywood Studios in 1989, and Disney's Animal Kingdom in 1998. Impressively, in 2018, Walt Disney World would claim the title of being the most visited vacation resort in the whole of the world, with an annual attendance that year of around 58 million visitors. Walt Disney World remains in operation into the present and continues to place amongst the most visited resort destinations on Earth, with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party running annually from mid-August through Halloween. As a side tidbit, Disney's Halloween Party was actually established in response to Universal Studios Florida's Halloween Horror Nights. However, Disney's rendition would feature a more family-themed atmosphere, with stage shows, trick-or-treating, parties, a parade, fireworks, and more. While these welcoming facts may hold true, some local legends tell partygoers still run the risk of encountering a scare. Not in the form of party decorations or actors though, mind you, but rather courtesy of countless real ghostly presences that have been reported across Disney World for decades past. Those who have braved Disney's dark gatherings have told of extreme cold spots, of orbs and strange mists that appear in the backgrounds of photography, of doors that open and close on their own, and of the constant feelings of being watched, of being followed, or even of being touched by someone or something unseen. A popular tale tells that Pirates of the Caribbean is haunted by a ghostly construction worker known as George, who it's rumored was killed while building the ride, resulting in his soul's eternal unrest. Those who have braved pirates have told of frequent electronic malfunctions, of flickering lights, and of other mishaps, all that intensify significantly when staff fail to greet George in the morning. Lastly, and rather fittingly, the Tower of Terror is said to harbor its own very real apparition in the form of a performer who died on the attraction. A spectral little boy and girl have been sighted riding the spaceship Earth ride. An ethereal woman in white has been witnessed on Main Street. The apparitions of a small boy and of a man with a cane have been observed within the haunted mansion, and a tan entity in a suit has been spied walking in front of the castle. Number 3. Unhinged, Nightshade's Curse. Located off of South Winchester Boulevard out of San Jose, California, and hosted within the ever-famous Winchester Mystery House, Unhinged, Nightshade's Curse has the prominent haunted mansion fully transformed for 13 nights of October into a Halloween attraction that stands out from the crowd. Historically, following the deaths of her daughter and husband, Sarah Winchester would visit Boston medium Adam Coons, who would advise her that she was cursed to be haunted by the many souls of those killed by her husband's business, being the ever-reputable Winchester firearms. To ward off said vengeful spirits, Coons instructed Sarah that she should begin construction of a home and should never stop building, by some accounts to accommodate the spirits, and by others to stay hidden from them. Subsequently, Sarah would move to San Jose, California, where she would purchase an 8-room farmhouse in 1886 and would launch a construction project around it that would literally last until her dying breath in 1922. Displaying a bit of Sarah's desperation, depression, and madness, her creation was a maze of twisting halls, stairways that led to ceilings, doors that opened to 2-story drop-offs or to nowhere, secret passageways, and hallways filled with ascending and descending stairs. And incidentally, by the time of her passing, it had already grown into something of a major tourist attraction. The Winchester Mystery House remains open into the present, offering touring options, event space, and of course its Halloween event, Unhinged. This year's Unhinged event features Madame Nightshade's Mystic Carnival and offers patrons an evening filled with good drinks and eats, sideshow entertainment, games, and more diabolical fun. But it's not all fun and games on the boulevard, and the Winchester Mystery House is surrounded by a number of spine-tingling local legends, claiming it's haunted not just by the fallen victims of Winchester rifles, but also by the spirits of construction workers that died over the lengthy project, by the souls of those tied to the property and lives since spent, and possibly even by Sarah herself, with those frequenting its bounds telling of orbs and strange forms captured in photography, of misty apparitions that drift the halls, of the constant feelings of being watched, of being followed, or of being touched by something unseen, and of encounters with shadowy figures and full-bodied apparitions in clothing or uniforms spanning the eras. The entity of a mustached man named Clyde has been encountered commonly, usually pushing a wheelbarrow in the basement or tinkering with the ballroom fireplace, while a female form bearing a likeness to Sarah has been encountered within Mrs. Winchester's old quarters, where several psychics and mediums have confirmed her soul is happy with the number of visitors her life's work has brought together. Number 2. Halloween Nights at Eastern State Penitentiary. Hosted within the ever-famous Eastern State Penitentiary, which is located off of Fairmount Avenue out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Halloween Nights at Eastern State Pen is a massive event featuring 5 separate, terrifying haunted attractions housed throughout the abandoned old prison complex. Historically, Eastern State Pen was initially designed on October 25th of 1829 by John Haviland as what many consider to be the world's first true penitentiary. The institution would operate until 1971, and while it would earn renown for its hosting of a number of famous names such as Al Capone, Willie Sutton, James Bruno, and more, it would also earn infamy for its inhumane conditions, extreme punishment methods, and severe overcrowding. In 1991, after sitting abandoned for decades, fundraising efforts would be rallied for the site's preservation, with its first Halloween event held the very same year. In 1994, the prison was open to the public as an educational venue, and in 1997, the annual Halloween event would be officialized as Terror Behind the Walls, though this moniker would later be changed to Halloween Nights. As per norm, Halloween Nights will run once again through the year of this upload, being 2022, from September 23rd through November 12th, and will be open, of course, on Halloween night itself, featuring 5 different houses, options in historic tours, themed bars, live entertainment, and more. Disturbingly, in its time, Eastern State Pen was one of the most feared institutions around, with more than 75,000 prisoners passing through its gates, and torture all but expected. Within, prisoners were tied to chairs for hours without food, water, or facilities. Others were crippled outright and unable to walk again, and countless perished. Shockingly, from around the 1940s and onward, a series of stories surrounding paranormal activity experienced both by prisoners and by guards have corroborated each other, and to date, rampant and inexplicable phenomena across prison grounds is all but common, with those braving its bounds reporting extreme cold spots, instances of cell doors opening and closing on their own, and the constant feelings of being watched, of being followed, or even of being touched, grabbed, or hit by someone or something unseen. In 1884, one Joseph Taylor would bludgeon overseer Michael Duran to death, after which he would calmly make his way back to his cell and take a nap. The ghost of Taylor has been sighted on numerous occasions and has purportedly even attempted to attack those who wander alone. Also reported across prison grounds are disembodied voices and footsteps heard from empty spaces, a constant negative feeling of discomfort, and encounters with both shadowy figures and with the apparitions of various prisoners or even guards. Lastly, during his time spent here, Al Capone himself claimed that he was visited by the ghost of James Clark, one of the men killed in the notorious St. Valentine's Day massacre. Number 1. Booze, Brews, and BBQ. Hosted within the infamous Myrtles Plantation, which is located off of US Route 61 out of St. Francisville, Louisiana, Booze, Brews, and BBQ is a popular event offering visitors a chance to tastefully party across the prominent property while joining in on various side events, mystery tours, and food and drink tastings. Historically, in 1796, the Myrtles Plantation was constructed under General David Bradford on a 600-acre plot. Over its many years, the abode would be passed down through a slew of owners and would play witness to multiple deaths, until the 1950s, when the property was purchased by one Marjorie Munson. Notably, Ms. Munson would document a range of odd occurrences experienced on site. Later, through the 1970s, the expanse was sold again to James and Frances Myers, who would operate the home as a bed and breakfast for a time. In the present, current owners John and Tita Moss have kept the Myrtles open to guests, hosting overnight stays while offering touring options and events. And through the fall season, while we've chosen to focus on Booze, Brews, and BBQ, this site actually hosts a range of autumn events, with this event just so happening to be the end-all most significant one on Halloween night. Oh, and some additional points we feel worth mentioning are killer gumbo, barbecue platters, plentiful beer, and more. Renowned as one of America's most haunted homes, the Myrtles Plantation has long been surrounded in local legends and ancient lore, with some telling its bounds play host to at least 12 separate presences, and others that they acted as scene to 10 different murders. Incidentally, historical documents only indicate one murder transpired on site, being the slaying of William Winter, who was shot on the front porch and shortly thereafter perished on the stair. Winters' shadowy manifestation has been encountered staggering up said stair, only to disappear on the 17th step, where he expired so long ago. Some tales tell the Myrtles' existence was doomed to be plagued by the paranormal from the start, as it was constructed atop a native burial grounds. Others that Union soldiers were killed inside through the Civil War, while additional fables claim one room is haunted by the ghost of a little girl who died within long ago, and that a mirror on site holds the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her 2 daughters, who often leave ghostly handprints upon its surface. Lastly, possibly the most famous Myrtles ghost story surrounds one Chloe, an enslaved woman held under Clark and Sarah Woodruff. While tales revolving around this young girl vary a great deal from version to version, it's told Chloe was either acting as a mistress to Clark, to a local judge, or simply attempting to gain leverage over her captors, and scared of being sent back to the fields, ended up listening to a conversation through a keyhole or eavesdropping, resulting in either Clark, Sarah, or said judge cutting her ear off as punishment, after which she wore a green turban to hide her disfiguration. Either fueled by vengeance or eager to prove herself to the unsuspecting Woodruffs by mending them back to health following, during the family's eldest daughter's birthday, Chloe would pick oleander from plantation grounds, and would add what she felt was just enough to make everyone sick to the birthday cake. Unfortunately, Chloe used a bit too much of the poison, and one by one, the family dropped like flies, writhing on the ground in agony. While Chloe managed to get her victims to their beds, try as she might to heal them, eventually, everyone who ate the cake succumbed to the effects of the poison and died, including several young girls and a mother with an unborn child. When word of her deeds spread across plantation grounds, in an effort to save their own lives, those others enslaved at the Myrtles turned on Chloe and executed her, possibly by way of hanging her from one of the oak trees, in order to prove their loyalties. Though it remains undetermined whether or not this legend is in any way historically accurate, to date, many have reported capturing an entity bearing Chloe's likeness in photography, and several have even told of encounters with her green turban-clad apparition, who's actually interacted with select living at great lengths before fading away. Thanks for joining us for our second list of picks for 5 real haunts that are open on Halloween. If you enjoyed our histories and ghost stories, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with anyone you feel could use a good scare. We'll catch you next time.